Hello and welcome to another tutorial, this time Blender, and we are going to look at how I made the paintball texture that you've seen in my previous post on Instagram, link down below, and also down below will be links to the wallpapers I made. There are 10 different patterns, different style, colors a bit. I rendered in 5K resolution so you can have it on your huge monitor and whatever, or smartphone. I'll edit also on Instagram stories later on. And also the blend file itself to download for free, to check it out. It's pretty basic, but we'll see how it looks. Okay, so first step, open Blender, general. For the settings, we don't need extra light, we want natural light. We don't need no cube. Yes, sorry. We scale the plane. Okay, just some settings, cycles, use what's your more powerful piece of hardware that you have. For me, it's GPU. Also set the background color as a environment texture and open some nice contrasty environment. This is looking all right, and for it not to interfere with our render, we make it transparent in the scene settings, and let's get to it. So here we have our plane. Click shading, rendered view, new material, and now how the material is created. Basically, it is some sort of concrete hole or something, concrete floor that has a color. There is a basic color with a magic texture on top of it, or vice versa. There's a magic texture and with purple color on top of it, and stripes running whichever direction we want that are emissive, and on top of all those are color splashes. So it means the various colors have different properties. The concrete will be rougher than the color that's on top, and also the emissive stripes, you can think of them as a piece of acrylic recessed into the concrete, that is going also to be more reflective than the concrete. And also for added detail, I want to have the magic texture to be also of different reflectiveness than the rest, so that adds up to the complexness. So let's see. As I said, the first is going to be the base. So some purple, darker purple color. That's the base. Now we duplicate it, and for the color of this, we add a magic texture that we are going to distort through some texture mapping. If Ctrl T doesn't work for you in this, go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and Wrangler, Node Wrangler. It's packed into Blender, helps a ton with this. You don't have to find it with Shift A every time. Okay, we have our magic texture. Let's preview it. Okay, so there's something going on, but we can do better. So add more detail, more scale, and distort it a bunch. Yeah, this is looking quite crazy. This is what we want. Okay, for scale, we want to scale it down. That means type lower numbers. Yeah, it's weird, but it's because of the texture stretching. Like bigger, it means there is more of it. Smaller means there is less of it. So it stretches, like, makes sense. Okay, with this, we feed it into the base color of our principled and bring up the metallic and specular, as I was talking previously, and bring the roughness down because we want to have more detail. Okay. Now we have those two shaders and we want to mix them. Mix shader, but in a specific fashion. Okay, so if we mix those, there is either the purple or the magic. We want to add noise texture and color ramp, not vertex color, set color ramp, we feed noise texture to color ramp and through the vector. We can view this. The color ramp is here for contrast, so we can more specifically say how harsh of a cutoff between the white and black within the noise texture is. Okay, we bring the scale up, we bring the detail up and also the roughness, maybe the scale not that much, and bring the contrast up, and you see how it becomes more and more obvious. Also notice that the more I bring the black slider up, the less white there is. It means the cutoff is being harsher and harsher. Think of it as a percentage of how much is black, how much is white. That's how it works. Okay, so we want something so that where is it black, that is going to be magic texture, or vice versa, depends on which socket in here we plug it in. So let's say that we want the black piece to be the magic texture and the white ones to be the purple. So to me this looks like it could work, and it looks like S. So we need to bring the, and also need to exchange those two. Am I right? Hold on. What the heck? Don't get it. Top socket, bottom socket. Color? No. This is odd. This is odd. Okay, so let's introduce some distortion into it. So we are closer to the look of magic texture, like those swirly things, and more contrast. And that should be it. Fuck. Yeah, you see? This is it. Just too much. Yes. That was the wrong way. Haha. Okay. Good. So yeah, this could work. And also, because of the magic texture, we want to introduce bump height. Means we feed the magic texture into the height and normal into the normal, and you see immediately it sort of elevated itself. So it's like some we have the magic texture as a bottom piece that is covered with the purple color. So it's like it was painted over, but the paint worn off kind of scenario. So we bring the bump down like this, and we introduce more contrast like this. Maybe yeah, maybe something like this. Okay. Let's touch down. This is looking all right. Fine. We have the mixed basic two pieces. Now we need to introduce those stripes. Those stripes, I chose the method of brick texture because we have one texture to control multiple stripes, their thickness, everything in one texture. We could make it through the math and less than, greater than, minimum, maximum, compare, blah 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 stuff, but that only creates you one stripe, or I believe it should create you only one stripe, and for more you should multiply, or add more of these, so it gets messy. We don't want that. So we stick with brick texture. The brick texture is going to be used in the same fashion as we used the noise texture before. That means we plug it into the factor, so it's on top of what we made. What's on top? The stripes. The stripes need to have their own color. They are emissive, as we talked about, so we take the shader, some nice color like aquamarine here, emission, bump it up, and emission strength, I don't know, something like 15 should do just fine. Metallic acrylic isn't really metallic, but it's specular, and we could add some clear coat. Fine. For the brick texture, there are some things we need to tweak. Mainly, we want stripes, not this zigzag. So offset 0. We have a grid. Nice. Second, we need to have the tiles need to be the same essentially. So we don't want this variety where one is slightly more grayish than the other and so on. So we bump both colors into the same white. Mortar we keep as it is because we want that harsh contrast. Mortar smoothness we don't care about. If you look, it means that it softens the edges. We don't want that. We want stripes. Nice stripes. Mortar size we can bring up, and the row height we bring way up, so we get only stripes. Depends on your specific usage. You might have to play with it to get the look you want to have, or perhaps even modify the UV mapping to get the look you are going after, but here we have only plain, so we don't worry about that. And now this looks alright. Plug it into the factor, and yeah, this is what we are going after, but we need to switch those. Lovely. And here's the basic texture. This is the texture I was using in my previous shots with the Ferrari I have on Instagram. This was basically it. Nothing else. But now we are talking paintball. Paint splashes. We need to add paint on top of this. So the same applies. We basically have a color that we mix in some fashion. That's it. So what colors, it's up to you. I chose to have some RGB blue here. Yes. The thing with it is you don't want any metallic, we want it to have specular. It's not technically realistic to have specular to 1 because nothing is 100% reflective. Maybe a mirror, but yeah, paint is not. But for this scenario we want the big contrast between it, so we bump the specular up to 1 and also clear coat way up. So we have that nice thick look. It won't be that much visible because there will be only little splashes of it, but it adds. Okay, so we mix, and we mix with a Musgrave texture. Let's add Musgrave texture and preview it. This does not look like color splashes, so we need to add detail, lower the dimension. This is getting farther. Yeah, and bump the scale up. And lower this fraction like this. Yes, perfect. Let's see how it looks. Bam. Oh, I forgot emission. We turn way down and we have blue splashes. Lovely. And now basically you can repeat this step as many times as you see fit, but keep in mind the more you have of these, the more the texture gets expensive computationally. So if you have a good PC, yeah, go for it. But if you have a potato, nah, it's not that good. It will take time. So add only as many as you think are necessary for the look you are going after. So mix another one, different color. The reason we are doing it through this, not mix RGB, which could be perhaps easier, but then principled versus color, it's not that much. We need that extra shininess on top of it, so that's why we use principled. Okay, next color is going to be some nice canary yellow, bright yellow, and the factor for this, I choose Voronoi texture, but with a twist. So we have a Voronoi texture, basically some random dots with gradients between them, and we can add more depth to it through color ramp. So we add more contrast, so we have more circles like this, but this doesn't look like color splash, it's just whole. You don't want that. So there is a trick I learned, shout out to Default Cube. We want to have a noise texture that we introduce into that we introduce into texture coordinates that we then feed into the Voronoi texture, which we will make as mix RGB. God damn it. Mix shader? No, mix RGB. Come on now. Mix RGB now. Lovely. And let's take texture coordinates object as an example. If we mix it with noise, we then, it's not that smart of me, you see, if there is no noise, it's perfectly within the center. But as we introduce noise, it slowly shifts its origin away from the center, which we don't want. So we use linear light to introduce more. You see, it starts bleeding into one another, and this is what we want. And this is what causes the fact that our circles that we've seen that didn't look like color splashes now look like almost color splashes. Lovely. Now we can play with contrast, how big they should be and how many of them there should be. It's all just up to the look that you are after. So we feed the color here. Lovely. But again, it should be like this. And we want the scale much bigger and the contrast much higher. Nice. If it weren't for this, you see, it would be just circles. But as we introduce the noise, it's kind of close to Musgrave, but it's different pattern. There are more variables that we can tweak, and that is essential because if we took the same texture and just multiply it, we would have another color on top of another color, but exact same. And we don't want that. We want multiple colors at multiple places on top of another. So that's why we need more randomness and more variables within our vector mixtures. All right, almost there. And now we I only chose to add one more color, and that is going to be bright green, neon green. We feed it, and yes, and for that can basically duplicate the color ramp and add Musgrave. Musgrave, I just quickly glance at what I was doing before. Yeah, Musgrave. But you can experiment with basically any texture that gives you some quality of randomness is what you can add here to have places where the color is shown and where the rest of the texture is see-through. So you can layer on top of another. I chose here Musgrave because we used Voronoi before, and let's see how this looks. Again, not much, or maybe easier thing is to duplicate this that we already tweaked and just move a couple of sliders so we achieve a bit different look. What? Hello? Why is that? Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Oh, I was too far away. Haha. Sorry. Kinda unnecessary maybe. And we feed this also our distorted noise texture, and you see, yes, lovely. It's completely something different. We feed it into our last factor, and with that, this is too much. Maybe we need this. Keep it in check. With something like this, but small. It's weird. A touch weird here. Maybe we just use what we have here, as to not add any additional. Actually, I'm bloody dumb. No, this one. It's not to add any more expensive computational stuff on top of it. Okay. But we need something with more detail. This isn't enough. So let's duplicate the Voronoi and feed it this and make it 4D. So we add another handle here, so we can play with that and for some reason okay, so the other way. Yes, lovely. Okay, sorry, this was a bit unexpected. It worked before for me. Don't know what happened here, but now we introduce the green color here, and that's it. We successfully created our mosaic color splatter pattern. Let's call it that. To recap, we just took the basic purple that we then mixed with our magic texture. Let me adjust it here for you. That we mixed with our magic texture. We layered our stripes on top of it, and then we introduced variety of color splashes on top of it in a random way. So now we have something like this. Maybe we can no, I actually like this. So yes, here it is. So if this is something you like to see more of, hit that subscribe down below. As I said, wallpapers in 5K quality are down below as well, as so is the blend file for this. Feel free to check it out, leave a comment if you have a better way or think there is a better way of doing this or something that you would like to see next, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!